on a typical morning, we have anywhere from 15 to 30 at each store. And they just chat, visit with each other, and then you go down by the doors when you open them, and you just stand out of the way, and they come in quickly. And it's almost scary. We would have hordes of people that would go run down the stairs. It just sounded like a stampede.
Since 1910, people of all ages and backgrounds have found the Deseret Gym to be a place of inspiration and growth. The gym aspires to help its patrons develop the whole being, body, mind, and spirit. It is here that people exercise, socialize, and gain a sense of well-being.
I think it's been good for all of us, health-wise, mentally, spiritually, any way we want to look at it.
The Deseret Gymnasium symbolized, I think, the church's commitment to a well-rounded individual. We had a saying here at the gym that originated with President Gordon B. Hinckley's father, Bryant S. Hinckley, who was the very first general manager of the Deseret Gymnasium. President Hinckley would say that the goal of physical fitness was not the highest priority in life. It was the priority that allowed all other priorities to be more attainable.
It was Bryant S. Hinckley who established the Deseret Gym's unique principles. The gym was to be a place where men, women, and children could develop the whole person. He wanted the gym to be a social center where ideals of fair play, chivalry, and honor were fostered. The institution was also to give a large public service in providing a suitable place for conventions, contests, and tournaments.
I remember that old Deseret Gym. It was a wonderful place. We used to walk down, and there was a pathway all lined with these tall trees and tennis courts out in front.
They had 4 handball courts. This is in addition to the swimming pools, 2 squash courts, and then they had 1 large full-size gymnasium floor. They had a running track that went around the perimeter of the big gym floor. They had a big weightlifting room. They had 6 bowling alleys. And for a couple of hours, I was working in the bowling alley pits, setting up pins.
I remember the old medicine balls. I don't suppose some of our younger people would even know what a medicine ball is. A large round ball, a little larger than a basketball, solid leather.
So I joined the gym, and once I got into handball, I got hooked on it. Judge Alden Anderson was then playing, and he said that you picked a great sport, you can play it till you're 70. I played it till I'm 81.
And these fellows, I knew them well, Bishop Kimball of the 18th Ward, and Joseph Fielding Smith. And so they asked me if I could die. I said, oh, I don't know. And, well, I want to go down with, go down with Brother Smith. Because when you're down in the handball court, you razz each other and kid each other. Well, I went down there and I found a brother, President Smith, is a human, is a nice person. Now, I don't mean human in language, but he just was just kiddingly human. And I learned to really respect President Joseph Fielding Smith.
The teacher was Miss Lindsay. There was a lady who played the piano while we did our exercises, and Miss Lindsay was very adamant that we have good posture, and my whole life I've had people tell me that I have good posture.
Every year we would run special summer program rates for swimming. We would teach woodwork, leather work, things that would enhance skills for these young people, both boys and girls. Some of these kids, they were only 12, 13, 14 years of age. But some of the material that they would turn out was just beautiful.
That I spent my whole childhood at the Deseret Gym. we'd go for class work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but Tuesdays I had to go to primary, so I wasn't as good a swimmer as my sisters. They skipped primary and stayed at the gym. And then as we grew older, in the summer we always had summer class work in the pool, and then we'd go over to the Lion House and try to learn how to sew upstairs, and then have our lunch at the Lion House. So that was my childhood.
Speaking of the old gym, I was just a little kid, and I got swimming lessons given to me for my birthday, probably about 9 years old, maybe 10. And Charlie Welch was the swimming instructor. And I see his picture down in the hallway downstairs as one of the very, very famous old-timers from the Deseret Gym.
I took my first life-saving class at the Deseret Gym, but it wasn't this building. It was over on the block by the church office building right in back of what's now the Joseph Smith Memorial Building. So not only did I take my first life-saving class there, but I took diving lessons and had a wonderful time there as a teenager with a lot of my friends doing things over in the Deseret Gym.
And I got so I could do a pretty good front butterfly, and I liked that back dive. I think I did pretty well with that. So when I see them teaching the young people to dive these days, I think that's a lot of work. And when I looked at the Olympic divers, I think, my, we never even came close to that.
Susie Windward and Charlie Welch were my instructors, and by the time I was 13, they told me that they thought that I had innate talent for swimming, and they wanted me to enter competition for the Deseret Gym. We had a lot of swimming competition in those days, and it was written about in the newspapers a lot.
The competition element of non-professional athletes coming out of the Deseret Gymnasium is tremendous. National championships, wonderful U.S. records, world records, etc. that were set. Coaches that were renowned for their contribution to the sports. The heritage was remarkable.
The LDS High School used the gym for their athletics. And I remember our dad, who was a teacher at LDS High School, bringing us to the basketball games. And there was not much side room on the floor, so we were practically on the floor with the athletes. And it was a pretty exciting time. We really enjoyed doing that.
And when I went to the U, we came down to the gym for our basketball games. It was just part of the community, and everyone loved it, and it was necessary then. It was necessary.
And my earliest memories of the old gym were when my father would take me to the high school tournaments that were held there. And one particular game I remember especially well was when two of my cousins who were attending the University of Utah played on opposite teams.
The Deseret Gymnasium became the home of the All-Church Tournament, and for many years that was each year perhaps the pivotal event of the Deseret Gymnasium. And that was one of the events that transcended the change from the old Deseret Gymnasium site to the new Deseret Gymnasium site.
The order came down that they were going to dismantle the gym. They were selling lockers, they were selling anything that the patrons or friends of the gym wanted to buy.
And then, bang, they decided to tear down the gym. It broke our hearts. And finally, they built a new one in 1965.
The facilities here are going to be so much finer and greater than the old Deseret Gym that we are thrilled with this new building that's going to be erected, and we look forward to the completion in 20 months, and so that we will have a lovely place in which to meet and exercise. The whole church will participate here. This community will be here and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity, and everyone will benefit.
So one day, just out of a clear blue sky, my husband came home and during the evening said, "By the way, do you have any ideas on how to build a pool?" And I picked up my ears and got a light in my eye and said, "I'll say I do." And he said, "Well, why don't you jot it down?" And I said, "Well, how much detail do you want?" And he said, "A lot of detail." So I sketched out a pool. No one typically ever takes my advice or my suggestions, so I didn't even give it a second thought. And when the gym was completed and I was given a tour of the premises, I walked out into the pool area and I just about collapsed, for there was my pool.
And I don't think that you can find a facility like this anywhere in the state. The spaciousness, the cleanliness, the opportunities you have here, the different sections, that makes it so unique.
It has everything. It has a circuit training room, it has a swimming pool, 2 swimming pools, a great aerobics room and weight training, racquetball courts. I mean, there's everything here. And we don't get that at any other place, in this area especially.
It is so clean and so beautifully kept up, and everybody has such a smile. There isn't a place that I know of that will ever replace the gym. I don't care if we look the whole world over.
Continuing in the tradition of the original Deseret Gym, the new building became a place of national contests and tournaments. The all-church volleyball and basketball finals attracted large crowds, as did the national tournaments in handball, racquetball, and synchronized swimming. Those who visited the gym during these events found it to be a world-class facility.
It provides such a service to the community, and it's such a wonderful facility. I've traveled all over the United States, and I've been to a number of different facilities, and there's nothing compares to this. This is just a wonderful facility for the family, for an individual, for whatever your needs are. It's just a wonderful facility.
One of the great things about it is the way it brings the whole community together. I think that's what I probably enjoy the most is the diversity of the people who come in. In the basketball on Saturday, you see kind of you see a smorgasbord of white kids and black kids and Polynesian kids and Hispanic kids. And it brings the community together.
You get a lot of different cultures, a lot of different backgrounds here, and to come here in a peaceful environment, it's really spectacular. It's great.
They say, well, where do you go? All you say is the gym, and they know exactly where you're talking about. That it's the Deseret Gym, and that's the unique part about it. It's just been here so long; it's really a part of the community.
There are kids that live here, that come here every day after school, and it's such a good place for them because they may be on the street doing other things if they weren't here playing basketball.
Deseret Gym was always set up to help serve everybody, and whether that was the underprivileged kids who couldn't quite pay the fee to get in, we always tried to make a way that they could come in and have their fun as well as everybody else. There were many rehabilitation groups, from Alcoholics Anonymous to different drug rehabilitation groups, that were an important part of our daily activities. It was a way for them to get the physical activity they need and be in an environment that was very positive for them.
The primary children's group comes in. They have done therapy down in the pool. The Day Spring organization, also Odyssey House. Through the United Way program, we've also had a lot of the neighborhood houses come in, and also the Boys and Girls Clubs that have come in.
It's something that I've bragged about to friends who live out of state, how much has been done for families and the community here, giving children a place to develop themselves as people.
The Deseret Gymnasium has been able to retain something that society in general has lost. That is a focus on traditional values, a focus on families, and not just immediate families, but generational families. This is a place where grandfathers took their sons, who took their sons, so you have 3 and 4 generations coming and participating in basketball and racquetball and swimming, and doing it as a link to the generations.
There have been men and women coming here since they were children who have passed on, and their children or their grandchildren are coming here. And There are 2 or 3 situations I know of where grandkids are using the same locker that their grandpa did and their dad did before them.
And I took the membership over from my father, who had it as a family membership prior to that. And he probably had it, maybe 10 years prior to that.
Where else can you find a 90-year-old grandfather playing racquetball with his grandkids? And I have people who come into my aerobics classes. One man, he must be in his 70s, and yet in the same class there might be a 21-year-old girl.
For physical fitness. This is an era of mechanization and white-collar workers. The muscles of men are replaced by the might of machines, and a job is no longer physical exertion. It's 8 hours a day in a soft, padded chair behind a desk. Yes, this is a time of bulging stomachs and flabby muscles. The only exercise is mental. We're a people of strong minds and weak backs.
This gym has helped everybody, especially with their health. That's the most thing I get out of this gym is my health. And I'm sure a lot of people are here for the same thing.
Regularly, I've been coming here for about a year now, since last October. And back then I was overweight. I weighed over 300 pounds. And just find the Deseret Gym to be a benefit to my life. It's been a good stress relief. I've lost over 120 pounds since I started coming here.
It's been fun to watch people get healthy and lose weight and see their image of themselves change and become more, positive in their life. I started with a little boy that was just terrified of the water. And really a cute little boy, had blonde hair and it stuck out everywhere. He was getting so he would float. And I came out and watched him one day and he said, "I found the secret." And I said, "What's the secret?" And he says, "If you stick your tongue out just like this, you can float. It works every single time. You just watch." And I said, "Okay, let me watch." And so he did that, and sure enough, there was a perfect back float from this little boy that was so terrified of the water.
It has really been very rewarding. My doctor even says, "Hey, keep up the good work of the exercise because this is making a big difference in my life and in my health."
But I think the biggest thing is just the people. To watch their health go from back surgeries and knee surgeries and people that couldn't hardly walk to people that are getting out of the pool on their own and going and feeling so good about themselves.
Howard Evans first came to the Deseret Gym on crutches, suffering from a severe back injury. Here he took up swimming, hoping to strengthen his back. Howard not only improved his condition, but eventually healed the injury and went on to become a swimming instructor at the gym. Even after losing his sight later in life, he continued to teach swimming.
That gentleman knew every single inch of this gym and could navigate himself anywhere, even though he was sightless. He would walk by the side of the pool, and he could tell you whether you were doing the stroke wrong. He would just be listening, and he'd say, "No, you're not kicking right. No, your stroke is just a little, if you'll reach further." And he was just wonderful.
This is good cardiac therapy. I've had 5 bypasses, and this keeps me healthy. I'm down here at the Deseret Gym as often as I can.
When I broke my arm last year, it's the gym that saved my life. And I hope it goes on forever, saving my life.
Because we have the momentum of exercising so many years, doing so many fun things, this will never end. This has to continue. Physical fitness is so important, and we give it a priority in our lives, and we'll continue to do so.
If you have a sport, the thrill of the game will take your mind off the drudgery and worry of everyday affairs and keep you mentally healthy.
It's just been a real big part of my life. Health benefits aside, emotionally, it's just been great, to relieve the tension and the stress that you have to go through.
The exercise is important to us, but it's a social place for us. This is where we begin our days, and we talk about the marriages and the divorces, the grandchildren, the children, the successes and failures, and everything that's interesting and important in the world.
When I came to the lake, I didn't have any friends, any relatives.
At the gym, at Deseret Gym is where I met my friends. I learned how to play racquetball, I learned how to play squash, I learned how to swim, I learned to communicate with other people.
This is the social beginning of every morning. This is where the work starts, this is where the work ends for a lot of us.
These guys are the best friends I've ever had. I think they're wonderful. We argue a lot, but it's forgiven as soon as we get on the handball court.
We had a group there that we would go in the whirlpool. We'd try to work out the world's problems, talking to each other. Then to cool off, we'd come out and sit in the swimming pool. We had our own little corner. There was about 8 or 9 of us that would sit there and talk or tell about each other's experiences or about our families, and we would always try to help each other.
Everybody is so considerate of everybody else and want to know how you're getting along. And if somebody's ill, we send them a get well card. And if somebody's having a birthday, we bring a birthday cake and have punch and cake after class. And those things that you don't get anywhere else.
Becky Nichols was at one time one of our instructors. She became very sick with lung problems, and I was able to visit her in the hospital and cheer her up, I hope, a little bit.
It's really first aid. I come down here to work out frustrations and problems in life, and the gym's been here, and it's kind of been like my counseling service almost.
The Deseret Gym was dedicated in January of 1965 to the whole being, body, mind, and spirit. In offering the dedicatory prayer, President Joseph F. Smith said, "We pray that all who assemble here may be impressed with the fact that the Spirit of the Lord is here."
When you come here, you feel like you're in a healthy, wholesome place. Not only physically, but for your whole spiritual being. This is why we go home and we feel so good afterwards, because we've not only done our exercises, but we've participated in that very special spirit that encompasses the gym.
This is a dedicated building, and I believe that dedicated buildings carry a special spirit with them. And people who come in, whether they understand the principles behind them or not, innately sense there is something different in this building, in this headquarters area.
When you walk in that gym, you feel a sacred feeling in that gym.
Well, I think the emotional attachment that people have to the gym probably has something to do with the spiritual nature of the reason why it was built. Our Heavenly Father created us as both spiritual and physical beings, and we spend a lot of time tending to the spiritual aspects of our needs, but the physical aspect is important as well.
We have a number of hotels that use the facilities, and so when their guests call, they also inquire, are we open 7 days a week? And of course we say no, not on Sunday. And we close early Monday, and so it gives you an opportunity to talk about the church and our principles. And so it has been a missionary tool in many ways.
At the groundbreaking ceremony, President David O. McKay offered the dedicatory prayer, saying,
"The atmosphere around this may be contributive to character building, not to indulgence in appetites, passions that destroy character. May the gymnasium radiate ideals that will contribute to manhood, true womanhood."
So to me, the most important role that the gym plays is character building for young people and continual building throughout our lives.
And I think because the gym was church-related, they focused on the spiritual part too, and I really appreciated that.
Hemming C. Mortensen, the second general manager of the Deseret Gym, believed that the goal of the gym is to build character and citizenship in the lives of men and boys, women and girls, to spiritualize the activities of youth, to exemplify high standards of morality and clean living, to aid in making the word of wisdom a lifelong guide to health and efficiency, that all may run and not be weary, and walk and not faint.
More valuable than the gold medals were the lessons that I learned. Susie Winward and Charlie Welch, who were my coaches, taught me a lot more than swimming. They taught me that you don't give up. You don't give up. You keep going till the race is over, and this applies to life. Not only in swimming, but you keep going until you're there.
When the Deseret Gymnasium is no longer with us, the lessons learned, the friendships made, and the memories of activities and historic tournaments will linger. For many, the gym was not just a building of bricks. It was a place of friends and family, a home away from home.
And I don't know whether I'll be the first to go or the gym will be the first to go, but I do know that in my obituaries it'll say, Mickey Hansen, who loved the Deseret Gym all her life.